right, everyone. Hello and welcome to another Women's Health Tech Wednesdays. My name is Nina Joshi, and I am very excited to bring out our guest today, Dr. Grace Hameister, the principal physician and founder of Food FiXR and Uncommon Medicine. So today we're going to be talking a lot about the role of food in overall health. So a lot of really great discussion topics. And before we jump in, just wanted to let everyone know that we love questions. So please feel free to ask any in the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. And so with that, I would like to formally bring on our guest, Dr. Grace. Hi, Dr. Grace. Thanks so much for joining.
Hi, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm honored. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, to maybe kick things off, would love if you could share with us a little bit more about yourself and your journey into the healthcare space.
Sure. Well, I would say my journey started, I was an elite athlete as a kid. I was the first Olympic level rhythmic gymnast in my state of Wisconsin. And then I was a professional water skier. I worked at SeaWorld in San Diego, Cypress Gardens in Florida, and actually won the world championships doing that. So I had a really unique upbringing and exposure to body optimizing and how you can do that in natural ways too. As an elite athlete at the Olympic Training Center, I remember when I was a kid, we would actually get nutrition classes there when we were there too, when we were training. And this at Colorado Springs. And the nutritionist at that time told us that in 10 years from now, 5% of the foods you eat haven't even been invented yet. That was just blew my mind as a kid. I was like, 14, 15 years old at that time. And it stuck with me, and look at it now. You look in grocery stores now, look at all the power bars and different kinds of water and different kinds of snacks that weren't here even 5, 10 years ago. Right. And it's so crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Right. So that kind of is what sparked my interest in nutrition and body optimization. And then I also did a year of cancer research in immunology. I took my athletics into science, basically. So I was a geeky scientist and elite athlete, and the two of those things came together, and here we are, Dr. Grace.
I love it. That's quite the combination.
Yeah. It's taken me into some really interesting scenarios, coming from the elite background. As a doctor now, I'm concierge, so I see a lot of athletes, actors, entrepreneurs, high profiles of all kinds, and everyday folks of all kinds too, and it's been a really interesting journey to see how we are very similar, and it very much at the core root of everyone's optimization starts and ends with our food choices.
That's amazing. And I think a really great segue into something that you are also developing as well, which is the Food FiXR.
Yes.
So would love if you could just share a little bit more, not only around the inspiration, what was that trigger point that made you realize we need a solution around something, as common as food, and what do you see as the vision and what you hope that this type of a solution would accomplish?
Well, when you really look at what's happening in our country, and this is what's really been bothering me, and I've been looking at it intimately for over 20 years as a doctor. So this is where Food FiXR has come from. People come to me. I'm a chiropractor. I do functional medicine and natural approaches to medicine, and food is part of that. So I have a trademark cleanse. I've worked with many celebrities using that, and that kind of opened my doors and opened my eyes to what we were seeing more and more. If you really look at it, the top 4 killers in modern medicine have one thing in common. They are all preventable and potentially reversible just by eating the right food. Look at it. We have heart disease, diabetes, cancer, and obesity. All 4 of them I have found to be potentially reversible and definitely preventable just by eating the right food. Unfortunately, many of the foods we eat have toxins in them, and most people don't even know it. So what we're doing with Food FiXR is what MyFitnessPal has done for the fitness industry. They have an amazing platform that gives you what your macronutrients are, how to look at your protein, how to look at food and actually get the ratios that you need for sodium and stuff like this, right? Well, with Food FiXR, while that's all very, very important for optimal health, there's one thing that's gigantically missing with that whole situation there, which is you got to look at ingredients first. I don't care what your macros are. I don't care what you're looking at as far as your sodium intake and all these things. If the foods that you're choosing already have trans fats, excitotoxins, corn sugar, and GMOs in them, you're going to get sick. It's just how it works. So if you're using MyFitnessPal, you can get the same macros with McDonald's hamburger as you would with a grass-fed burger. But now there's a giant difference between the toxic debris and the body optimization between a grass-fed burger and one that's, chemically altered. I mean, so that's where this whole inspiration came from. It's time that not only in my industry as a physician, like even doctors are having to Google it. When you want to find foods that help to optimize your body. And we're looking at, like, say you are surviving cancer. What if you did just have a heart attack and now you need to change what you're eating? What if you have endometriosis, or you get migraines all the time, or psoriasis, and you want to find ways to help make the body get what it needs to repair? What do? Google it isn't good enough anymore. That's what Food FiXR is for. That's exactly what it. Yeah.
I love your approach about how it's all, yes, the macros and all of like the data points, but quality is kind of at the core of everything too. I think that's really important.
Yes. We definitely look at ingredients, sustainability, and which ingredients will help to heal your body, or which ones will make you worse. It's a big difference.
Totally. What impact are you looking to kind of make with an app like this?
Well, to flatten the curve on the top 4 killers in modern medicine. I mean, let's face it. There's a big fat pink elephant in the room, and as cute as it is, it is not being addressed. I mean, I don't care how much drugs you push at something, unless we start making major changes in our food delivery and food knowledge, we're going to keep continuing to have issues like this. I mean, come on. Look at, I'm inspired by this. There's a company in Milwaukee. The name is Doman, the Doman Group. They used to be a pharmaceutical company. And just recently, within the last few years, completely changed their entire business. They've been in business for 160 years doing pharmaceuticals. Wow. They changed the whole thing to be a .org, a nonprofit. So they no longer have their shareholders, and they changed their entire business model to be food is medicine instead of medicine is medicine. Yeah. It is time to do this kind of work now. Insurance companies need to jump on board. MDs need to be learning nutrition. We need to be talking about how food makes a difference. And we need to stop going to the grocery store and choosing foods that are killing us. But how do you do that? People don't know how. So, we need a better way of doing things. And that's why Food FiXR is definitely necessary and important. And we are building it, and we need help. So anyone out there that's hearing this right now, please get in contact with us, because we're definitely looking for not only our next round of seed funding. We just had an investor who was courting us since December, basically, and we're now in February, and he just a couple weeks ago decided to back out. So I need to pay my guys so that we can keep this tech going. So, we definitely could use some assistance there too. And the only way that we're going to make change is if we do this together. So let's do it.
And I love that you talked also about not only from, the accessibility, and we'll definitely get into a lot of that too, but how there's just an information gap in the first place. How, like, people don't even know this is a problem. So I think being able to have this sort of democratized information was going to be really, really valuable. That's amazing.
Yes.
I know you mentioned kind of the top 4 killers. Really curious, what conditions or health issues are you kind of focusing on right now? I'm assuming that, some of those are probably what you had already mentioned as kind of the top areas of concern.
Well, of course, the gut-brain axis is a big one for me. Neurology is one of my specialties. Accelerated tissue repair is one of my specialties as well. I use a lot of high-tech therapeutic devices to help with that, like cold laser therapy, and some low-tech therapeutic devices like B3 bands. And we'll get into that in a little bit too. But the things that are kind of on the top of my mind and the top of my practice right now are gut repair. That's a big one. Anti-inflammatory, anything that can help with keeping pain away. Right. And then, of course, February's Heart Health Month. Sometimes it just doesn't come out right. And, so people are looking to find ways to improve their heart health.
That's amazing. So speaking of heart health, would love if you could kind of share with us a little bit more about, where the research is right now, kind of what are you seeing based off of your own experiences, and kind of why heart health kind of makes sense and heart disease makes sense as kind of a big area of focus for Food FiXR.
Right, right. Well, first of all, I don't know if you knew this or not, but every 36 seconds, somebody in the United States dies of a cardiovascular event.
Wow, did not know that.
That is insane, right? And now you couple that with our country now passing the 40% mark for obesity. It's been on the rise over 28% since 2008, I believe, somewhere in there. So
that's
if obesity wouldn't be rising if it was as simple as dieting and changing what you eat, and people wouldn't be dying from heart attacks every 36 seconds or something involving the heart every 36 seconds if what we're doing now was working. It's not, so one of the things though that I have found is a solution and is working is something that came to my attention back when I was an undergrad. I did cancer research in immunology when I was at University of Minnesota, Minneapolis. And a year after that, or 4 years after that, after I became a chiropractor, I was living in San Francisco and about to do a lecture, and this little particle came into my awareness called nitric oxide. Now, nitric oxide is one of the least known and the most important things that you can possibly amplify in your body. It's naturally in your body. It's actually a gas. It comes out of a macrophage. So when you're looking at immunity, what helps to encapsulate the bad guy, like a bacteria or virus or whatever, is the macrophage. And inside the macrophage, nitric oxide gets released to help to contain it and kill it.
Right.
Now, another thing that nitric oxide does is it helps with angiogenesis. It helps with brain function. It helps with basically making every single vessel in your body work better. Since I've been using nitric oxide as a supplement, I have had amazing results with some of my patients. One in particular, one patient, he has a congenital heart issue, and also that has led to a pulmonary issue too. And he has to, sleep with a CPAP, the whole nine. Well, his oxygen rate and absorption has increased dramatically since taking nitric oxide. And then this is a little guy right here. Berkeley Life.
Oh, wow.
These guys are creating the best, most simple form of nitric oxide that allows for the body to heal, the heart to heal, and give you better oxygen output. Now, here's the other thing that's really cool about nitric oxide. It also helps tremendously with repair, and it helps with athletic peak performance. And
interesting.
And the other thing that I love are B3 bands. This is another thing that I found that's a lot of people just don't know about, but it's still new. I'm on the cutting edge of stuff here. So
yeah, that's amazing.
We're talking about some cool things. B3 bands are BFR, blood flow resistance training. But what makes them different and what makes them interesting is that they have chambers inside of the bands. You wear them on your arms and you wear them on your legs. You pump them up, like you would for doing your blood pressure cuff, right?
Okay.
But they have little chambers, so it doesn't just get tight like a tourniquet, because that can damage your tissue.
Right.
But what's really cool about these things, and they're new in the market, you got to go check them out. There's links in here that you can go look at them. But they help to increase nitric oxide naturally in 20 minutes by using them for 20 minutes. So you put them on, even walking the dog, it increases nitric oxide. And the one thing that women lose faster than anybody in the world, other than men, obviously we're moving men and women here, is human growth hormone, right? So we decrease our human growth hormone as we age, as incrementally more so than men do, which is what causes, muscle wasting and less muscle mass and that kind of thing. The B3 bands naturally increase human growth hormone when you work out with them.
Wow.
So you're getting athletic peak performance, you're getting muscle strength, you're getting muscle building and angiogenesis. So if you're not on the bands, you need to get on that too.
And so this is all just like new in the market.
It's new in the market, but it's old, it's ancient wisdom. It's just been, tapped into.
That is a product.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. Wow. It's been around forever. And now, the data is supporting all this, and people are finally able to see that the science that we were talking about 20 years ago is real.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. You had mentioned not only just supplements and food, as well as like physical things that you can do naturally. Would love to learn from you, all of this stuff, just, lifestyle improvements, nutrition improvements, they just sound so easy to implement. But what are some of, just from your experiences, what are some of the barriers that can kind of prevent people from, being able to readily use and access these things? I know, is it, an information gap? Is it a time issue? Is it a cost issue? Would love to learn your experiences about that.
Sure. Yeah. I think the biggest thing is the information gap. I've been swimming in this information for decades now, and I'm still standing, feel like I'm standing in the top of the mountain with a jar over my mouth, because only a small piece of people can hear it, but it's finally coming out. I'm breaking that damn jar. Like this, yes. The word's getting out, but one of the things that I think is also an issue is judgment. People have a predisposition to think that eating like this is going to be expensive, or that it is time consuming and it is expensive. Look, I did this little experiment. This is before Instacart arrived on our planet. and I love them because we're modeling our app with their kind of functionality, where you can actually get a grocery list and then go to whatever grocery store through a cart. So that, now people know about how to use that, which is great, because that'll help Food FiXR quite a bit. But totally. Back in the day, I actually went, when I was living in California, I went to Whole Foods, and I had a list of all the foods that I tend to recommend and to eat a lot, for repair and for all the things that we were talking about earlier. Right. And then I went to Albertsons, which is like Pick and Save or Piggly Wiggly, or, one of those kind of stores, and did a price check to see the difference between, what was expensive or not. Because you always hear that phrase, whole paycheck, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't true. It was literally pennies difference. Pennies, not dollars, pennies difference. So when you're looking at food in the right way and for the right way, it can be prepped easily. It can be eaten in the right way, and it can be not eaten in a way that will eat up your entire bank account.
Right.
It's a judgment, it's just that needs to be squashed in our culture. And there are companies out there that are creating food delivery services, which eventually is exactly where Food FiXR is going to go to. We want to have a coaching system. We want to have a food prep and delivery service for your condition. You get food that will help your condition. So, people are now looking for convenience, but they're not sacrificing their quality for that convenience anymore. And so I think it is more that the information, and it's coming out.
Yeah. Which is definitely great to see. Great to see that, we're kind of, it seems like more of the general public is poised to really take a lot of, what you're saying in, and kind of think about the choices that they can make as it relates to just overall health and well-being, and then also condition specific health and well-being.
Yes.
That's incredible. Wanted to ask you, this, in a world of social media and Instagram and TikTok and YouTube and all of these things, we definitely hear so much about, nutrition and diet and healthy eating. Would love to learn kind of from your expertise. Are there any specific, diets or food fads that you see that are maybe not necessarily grounded in, science-based evidence, or things that are kind of more fads than actual good, sustainable, healthy eating?
Yeah. My favorite one is the Master Cleanse. Oh my God. Every time I hear somebody do this, I'm like, no, please don't. Because you're basically eating lemony sugar water with cayenne pepper in it, and granted, I would say 99% of the people in our country need to do some sort of cleanse. So yes, you're going to get some sort of response to it, but the level of, you're getting no probiotic, you're getting no, alkalinity is okay, sort of, but you're also tainting that with the sugar from the maple syrup. It's not a nutrient dense repair model, kind of sustainable way to do things. Honestly, there's no brain repair involved. There's no gut repair involved. It is mostly just, giving your body basically a little tiny bit of what it needs so that you can function while you're not eating. Honestly, I definitely am not a huge support group for that guy. That's for sure.
No, very good to know. Especially kind of understanding like exactly what you were saying, the different systems that it's not addressing, when it comes to something like a master cleanse.
Right.
We have some really great questions from the audience, but would love to ask you quickly.
Sure.
Two last questions for you. The first one is, for any entrepreneurs in the group or in this audience that, have a vision, would love to learn kind of from you, how did you kind of take it from, I have this idea to, I now have something in my hands that I can show? How do you go about like building a team or, what do those next steps look like?
Well, I got involved with the local tech community here in Milwaukee. I was in the San Francisco Bay Area when the .com boom happened, before Google. Oh, before Google, what?
What a concept.
What? Yeah. So I see what tech can do. I saw what tech can do when it was in its infancy, and I see where we are now and what needs to be done now. And I need to be at the forefront of that. And I kind of missed out on it because I had just graduated as a doctor, back in 1999. So this wave that's coming around with spatial computing, AI, XR, all of it, it needs to be part of my life and the life that I'm helping to give others. So get involved with any local groups first. The Generator organization is amazing. They help me tremendously. My coach, Molly Dill, I talk to her all the time. I'm sure she's so annoyed getting calls from me at this point, but still, she's amazing. And creating that community. And once you get involved more with the community, then the people come, you see, amazing. I know where my gaps are. I am not able to get on the computer and create a program like that is not, but I can tell my guys what needs to come out of my head so that program can be accessible to the entire world. Right. And by doing that, that the networking and the community outreach and participation. I did the National Science Foundation I-Corps program with UWM here, which was amazing. Like that was a huge benefit for me too. So those would be some resources that I would recommend going to for sure.
Absolutely. I love the local and kind of community-based approach. I think that's genius, honestly.
Well, one of the things that I keep hearing around here, which I love, is Milwaukee we're actually quite a tech hub now. It's really growing quite a bit. And what I love too, is we're much more of a dolphin tank than a shark tank.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's very supportive, and it's like everyone really truly genuinely wants to see everyone succeed. So it's a really cool place to be.
That's amazing. Gotta love a good dolphin tank.
I love a dolphin tank too. Who wouldn't love a dolphin tank?
That's amazing. And then last question for you before we open it up for questions. Do you have any words of advice for our audience members, our future health tech leaders, and aspiring entrepreneurs? Things that have kind of maybe helped you on your journey.
Yeah. Keep listening to your gut and keep going. It's not going to happen overnight. My overnight success has been 20 years in the making, and we're still growing and still trying to get this done. I'm still trying to build my widget. And when you're on the right path, it, and just keep going. You'll find the people, you'll find the resources. In fact, they'll find you, because the message you have is important. And when it is, and you're helping others and you're doing so in a way that's also going to help the planet, there's no stopping you. Just go.
Yeah. That's incredible. That's beautiful. Thank you. Yes. Definitely going to take that to heart myself.
Excellent.
Yeah. All right, great. So I think we have two questions that I see. The first one is actually about the supplement that you had mentioned, the nitric oxide. One of our participants wanted to know if you can supplement with, nitric oxide without risking interactions with other meds or supplements.
That's the beautiful thing about nitric oxide, is it's very much like vitamin C. Your body uses what it needs, and then it just doesn't use the rest. But the bottom line is too, your body, like every single function in your body needs it, like everything from cellular function to heart to brain to like all of it. So the use of it is very, very safe.
That's awesome. Really great to know. Perfect. And then we had one last question, which says, do weight loss plans have the right components of healthy food? So maybe the question would be, when you look at weight loss plans, how do you know if it's a good one? What are some maybe things to look for when it comes to a weight loss plan?
Well, definitely looking at the foods that you're eating. you got to start with the ingredient list first. I don't care, what, again, how many calories that you're taking in. If those calories are filled with trans fats, excitotoxins, corn sugars, and GMOs, you got to get them out, because that is going to stop every cellular process in your body from elimination properly, from detoxification properly, which means that fat isn't going to come off either. You're going to have brain fog, you're going to have gut problems, so any type of weight loss program that you're trying to sign up for, make sure that you think of what I think of, which is what Jack LaLanne said, which they told us back in the Olympic Training Center. If God didn't make it, don't eat it.
I love that.
That's the simplest way to look at it. If you can't pronounce what's on that label, put it down.
That's incredible. Awesome. Well, we actually just got one last quick question for you before we close out. So we had a question from a participant that says, what type of cleanse do you recommend for everyone, if any?
Well, their cleanses are very specific. And, I recommend coming to someone like me who knows where to start, because if your body's already really very inflamed or overly taxed with a lot of toxins, or you're an elite athlete, it could be any end of the spectrum. I mean, I don't like to single out one particular cleanse. I mean, obviously I have a trademark cleanse, so I would say use mine. And it's because it's based on about 5 or 6 other ones that I've taken the best bits of them so that you can get the brain repair, get the gut repair. The body ecology diet is a great one to start with. If you've never done anything at all, it's really complicated, but Donna Gates brought up a really great cleanse. So yeah, I would say call me or Donna.
Got it.
Yeah.
Perfect. No, and I love that you're also kind of, it's a bit more nuanced and not necessarily like a one size fits all. That
no, it's not. It's the same reason there's a ton of different disciplines in medicine. There's gynecology and orthopedics. Everybody has a different issue going on at a different time, and so you really need to be careful about just jumping in and doing a cleanse.
That's amazing. Well, I wanted to thank you so much for your time, and like one of our participants said, your pearls of wisdom. Really appreciate you just taking the time to educate us and kind of share the work that you're doing as well. So we all really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And I wish I could interact more with the participants too. It's always so lovely to do that, but I do appreciate your support. I love being able to be part of this platform. I'm so grateful that you guys are doing what you're doing too. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And so for all of our participants, we have Grace's LinkedIn information below. So if you do want to have, if you have any additional questions for her or want to chat with her, please feel free to reach out.
I love that. Absolutely.
Awesome. And so next week, please join us again for our next session. I'm having a great conversation with Sina. So please register and check that out. And then tomorrow, we also have our symposium on digital diagnostics. So if you're interested, all of the registration information is also in the chat. I wanted to give one last huge shout out to Dr. Grace for her amazing insights and a great discussion.
Thank you.
Awesome. And then also would like to thank our sponsors for sponsoring our Women's Health Tech Wednesdays episodes, and would also like to thank you all for participating. Hope everyone has a great rest of the day and see you next week. Thanks, everyone.